You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts. Hello.
Hello.
Today we're actually in the same room recording.
Which is weird that we've never done this before.
Right. Really, we haven't.
Yeah.
I don't think we can look at each other while we're doing it.
I know. I had forgotten that this was an option.
And we're also in a kind of an echoey, cavernous room because we are in between sessions of our escape room at the railroad depot, which is about to come to a close. We've been doing it this week for spring break, which has been a lot of fun. But hopefully the recording doesn't reflect too much that we're in this giant room.
We're sorry in advance if a train comes through. It'll be some excitement for the episode.
Yes. And it will sound like we're being run over by a train, so...
We're not.
Right. Even if we start screaming. So, I've got quite a few books to talk about today, and a few shows. I was kind of going through and looking at books that, for whatever reason, I have either returned to or have made an impression on me, or that I have recommended to somebody recently.
Right.
And so I'm going to kind of go through some of those. And the first one is by Travis McDade. It's a very long title, but it needs it.
Yeah,
so
hit me.
It's called The Thieves of Book Row, New York's Most Notorious Rare Book Ring, and the Man Who Stopped It. And I listened to this as an audiobook and then read it again. And it's pretty fascinating. There's all kinds of intrigue in the rare book world, you know?
Man, I would not want to mess with those people.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
They seem intense.
Yeah, right? I don't know why exactly, but...
Rare book dealers.
Yeah.
I guess there's that movie, is it The Ninth Gate? With Johnny
Depp. That
and
might be what I'm going off of.
Maybe it really impacted
These people, are pretty nuts. So.
Yeah.
Which is a great movie, by the way. If anything, I recommend The Ninth Gate. It's a great movie.
Absolutely. It's really good. And if you're a book lover, which if you're listening to this, it's pretty likely, it is made for book lovers.
Yeah.
First of all, it's set in these, antique bookstores, but also there's all of this texture of the pages and the sound of the pages turning and stuff. It's I don't know. It's just one of the things that stuck out to me from watching that.
Yeah, and there's also crazy supernatural stuff, and I don't even. Supernatural might not even be the right word.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a wild ride. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
It is very wild ride. But kind of on the other end of the spectrum is the real world of New York's rare book ring, and but if it's kind of like a milder version of true crime, you know, maybe.
Nice.
The nerd version of that. So it's a good book. And it was good. I listened to it when I was on a road trip, and it kept me awake. So
that is so many points for that.
Absolutely. And then another one it's one that I don't think I have stopped reading. So it's it's very long. And so by the time you get to the end of it, it's been, I don't know how long since you started it. And you're like, well, how did this start again? And it's nonfiction. It's by James Gleek, and it's called The Information, A History, a Theory, a Flood. And so as an information professional, this is about, it starts with alphabets and how, people began recording their ideas instead of just speaking something and then it's gone.
Right. Oh, I would be in so much trouble if that was all I had to depend on.
Same here.
Yeah.
And even, goes into the talking drums in Africa and how information is spread in those ways. And then all the way up to contemporary information theory.
Okay.
And so it's dense, but he has a really great writing style.
Well, and I would think with a title like that, I would expect it to be dense. I mean,
Yes, if you're talking about the concept of information.
that is so broad.
Exactly. But he does a great job of following it through history and how, now we're in this digital future, and but how we got there from like Charles Babbage and Ada Lovelace, Lord Byron's daughter, who was the first programmer in the 1800s, and then the first Babbage's engine, the first mechanical computer, and how that stuff, like the concepts of that, then led into what we now know,
Right.
in the digital age.
Just a loud truck passing by.
You pay no attention.
Yeah.
That wasn't one of us. We're just gonna gun right past to
That's right. Moving on.
And anyway, so yes, I recommend it. It may take you a year to read it. I don't know how.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, it took me a long time because I was making notes and thinking about it, and anyway, so it's worth it for sure. I wouldn't suggest listening to it. I would think you would want to. Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe that would be interesting. That would be a long.
I was gonna say, and depends on the narrator, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how many hours it would be. But definitely, if you have any interest in that kind of thing, pick that one up.
That's cool.
Another one is one that the past couple of years ago, it was one of those that lots of book clubs were checking out, and everybody was talking about Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, and it's about a Chinese American family, and it sort of opens with the death of one of the daughters, but then it goes through how that came about and how the family deals with it, and it deals with issues of the family dynamics and culture and race and and all of that kind of stuff, and it's very, very good.
That's one I've meant to pick up. I think, wasn't it like the high school might have done it as put it on a reading list, or it was required reading or something. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, I'll have to revisit that.
Yes, because the daughters are, they're young, they're not adults, so
okay.
I can see why that would be a high school reading list for sure. But it's not young adult fiction.
Okay,
I will say
yeah.
that. And then another one is called The Grown Up, but it's not about a person who acts like a grown up, by Gillian Flynn.
Is it about me?
I wasn't going to say that.
A biography about Emily Childress.
The Grown Up. I could just see, like crossing your arms.
No, mine would be called The Grown Up in quotation marks.
This is kind of like that. It's kind of the quote grown up in quotation marks, and it's by the author of Gone Girl.
Okay.
And it's kind of short, and it's about a young woman who is she fraudulently claims to read auras, but that's the only way she can fend for herself. She does this to make a living, and then she meets this lady and goes to this house and discovers that maybe her powers are not fraudulent. And so it's a quick read. It's atmospheric. It's quirky. Cool. The character is funny, but it's also creepy.
Yeah.
I recommend almost anything by Flynn.
I was gonna say she's popular for a reason.
And her books are all different.
Yeah, like different. I don't know, the
style-wise,
approach, and the character approach, and
So that's another great one. And then I can't remember if we've talked about it before, but I don't think so. And Jeff Vandermeer wrote Annihilation and then 2 additional novels in the Southern Reach trilogy. And Annihilation, the first one, was made into a movie with Natalie Portman. And the book is great. The movie is good.
Pretty messed up.
It is.
There was one particularly, I want to say creepy, but I think another word should go there, but an really unsettling moment.
Yes, really unsettling and mind-bending.
Yeah.
And, another one of those that, questions your reality.
Yeah, and I would still recommend it. All of that being said, I would still recommend watching it, but yeah.
And I would recommend the books. The books are a little more, I think maybe staid is the word I want to say. It's more serious-minded. I don't know. The movie is kind of follows these characters as they're exploring this new whatever, they don't really know what it is, this new dimension kind of thing that has appeared out of nowhere, and they're kind of like soldiers, so it's almost more like action based than the book really is. The book kind of takes more focus on the base,
and the visuals were a big part of the movie. I don't know how much the book gets into that, but I would think when you're making a movie about this, you would kind of, you could really, use the visuals to your advantage, making a movie out of this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and when I read the book before I saw the film, and I could not fathom how they were going to make that.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. Oh gosh, I cannot imagine. Now I can't imagine what it looks like on a page, like how you would write about it.
Yeah.
I'll have to,
check it out.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
And it's another one that's not it's a quick read. It's not going to take you a year to finish.
Yeah.
Another one, and this is, everybody's going to be like, of course you're going to like this book, Crystal, but it's by John Palfrey. It's called Bibliotech, Why Libraries Matter More Than Ever in the Age of Google. And so this kind of ties into the information. And it's about how libraries are a key in educating the populace in how to make use of our digital future.
Yes.
And so, and he sort of makes a case for, it's a very short book, but it's very succinct and concise, and he just kind of lays his points out there and says, obviously, librarians need to be up on these things, and they need to be teaching the public these things, and because it's basically, it's so exponential in its growth that information is, that it is demanding of people, and librarians in particular, to be familiar with it and to stay abreast of all of the changes and how to stay safe and how to stay, aware of things that are going on in the world, and how to evaluate the sources that we're reading, which is ever increasingly important to make sure that we know that the information that we're taking in is valid, and real. So, anyway, good book.
Yeah, and I will say, when I, came to the library, you think you have an idea of what it's going to be like as a librarian, and then it's not what you think it's going to be like, in a great way. Just there are so many areas and facets that that we have to know and be a part of and be leaders in a certain way, and
it is. It's always surprising, and it changes all the time. I mean, obviously this last year it's changed hugely, but then prior to that, I think even from when I started as a public librarian, which is about 9 years ago, my daily duties and tasks and stuff that I did have changed drastically.
Absolutely.
And from the fact that we used to teach basic computer classes and basic computer skills until we really stopped having people, everybody, and I'm not going to say that, but there's still people who struggle with that, but basically everybody got up to snuff on that, and we stopped having requests for those kind of classes. or even we had tech help, and there's so much fewer requests for those things because so many people
are learning
it,
which is great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not that we were 100% responsible for that.
No, absolutely not.
It's not like we educated everybody. We're all caught up.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but it definitely has changed. The people's needs have changed. People's, interactions with social media and all of that. And so, when I was first teaching classes in the library, I was teaching people how to use a mouse. And, what the components of a computer were.
Yeah.
And we just don't really have much request for that anymore. So, and that's just within a few years.
Yeah. It's a lot of, I don't remember my password.
Which we all struggle with.
I'm like, girl, me too.
Yeah, do you know mine? Because I don't know.
Maybe we can help each other. I don't know.
I'm buddy system.
Right.
So I think that's all the books that I want to recommend. And I have a few shows a couple that I started, and I'm planning to, because I'm taking some days off next week.
Yeah.
Planning to get into them, but I
need the time.
Yes. And, need to let this car go by.
Yep.
And anyway, so I don't know if I'm like 100% recommending them, but I've started.
I see. Just sort of the beginning of your journey.
Yes.
Let us join you.
Yes, exactly. And maybe you know something about it. And
I'll chime in.
Recommend, yes. So on Hulu is a series called Prodigal Son. And it's about a criminal psychologist whose father is a serial killer.
Oh.
And and the other characters are have one's a journalist. It seems to be pretty intriguing.
Cool.
And good actors. So
cool.
I'm getting started on that one.
I'm interested in that.
Yeah. And it's on its second season, I think, and I had never heard of it until recently.
Because I saw it advertised on Hulu, and I thought it was a new show.
I did too until I got into it. I think the first.
Well, I kind of love that because if it is good, I have a whole other season to watch.
Exactly. That's how I like to do.
Yeah.
Then there is another new one, and this one's on Stars, which they're kind of stepping up their game with.
I've done a free trial with Stars. I think you can do it like once a year, and so I've used mine once last year and already once this year. And I have Nick's email address on standby for the next.
They force you to do this.
They really do.
But it's called The Luminaries, and it's set in New Zealand in the 1860s, and there's a gold rush. And it's based on a novel by Eleanor Catton.
I was going to say, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
It was a popular book.
Okay.
But it seems interesting, and like I said, Stars has had some good series. We talked about, of course, Outlander is on Stars.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so there's, they're kind of beefing up their series. And then on HBO, there's a new season. This is not, I think I've talked about it before, but Last Week Tonight with John Oliver has started a new season a couple weeks ago. And so I love to catch up with whatever
I do
he's
too.
got.
He's a great way to. It's like palatable news in a way.
Yeah, he kind of takes he kind of gives like a general what's going on this week.
Yeah.
But then hones in on one particular thing.
Right. And
kind of drills deeper into that, and it's funny and profane.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But
so it's amusing.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
And then, let's see. Oh, a series that I did complete the first season, but it's new and it's on HBO as well, is Snowpiercer.
Yes.
Which is a remake of a film from just a few years ago.
Right.
With
Chris Evans. And Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
the new series has Jennifer Connelly as
the
one of the main characters. And then another actor who's recently been really popular
Huh.
and done several things,
Okay.
but I can't think of his name. But so the I guess the gist, the background of Snowpiercer is that climate change has taken place, and there's a new ice age essentially on the planet. But this one like uber wealthy guy built this train that's I don't know how many. That's one of the things that's how the series tracks is how many cars there are.
That's right.
And the back of the cars are the
Poorest people.
The poorest people who a lot of them just jumped on the train when they could.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of stowaways in a sense. But the idea of the train is that it's protected from the cold and it never stops. So it just circles the globe. And that's how they, don't get frozen in this ice age. But the front of the train is the powerful, wealthy people, and then it kind of, basically the hierarchy goes down.
Right,
from there.
right. So does the show pick up where the movie left off, or
no? It's a remake. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that because I was like, I kind of felt like the movie. I don't really remember, but I was like, not sure how they would go off of that. So that's good to know. Cool.
Yes, and. Yeah, you're right, because there wouldn't be much after that.
Tell.
And this one, the series ends, and it's definitely open for continuing.
That's cool. Okay, good, because that's a fascinating concept.
It is, and then so the people in the rear of the train are treated very poorly, but every once in a while they can work their way up, or they think that that's what they're going to do,
right?
But they don't really know what's going on in the front of the train,
right?
And that it's not like your typical idea of contemporary what a train is like now. Even one that is like a cross country train. It's enormous, and especially the beginning cars are like palaces. It's a very sci-fi kind of concept for this train, It's, but it's also it's beautiful, and it's beautiful in the set decoration sense,
right.
And then the back of the train is obviously
pretty dismal.
Very dismal and ugly, and though their way of life, they're just barely scraping by,
right.
And so it's kind of like this enclosed system that's commenting on social hierarchies. And then throws in some mystery and a person from the rear of the train is one of the main characters
which was the case in the movie, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And sort of brought into the business of what's going on in the other parts of the train, and then maybe try to turn things around.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch this tonight.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good thing to watch.
Yeah. And with anything like that, I think that, there are some scenes that are rough, because it's a rough notion.
That situation is pretty bleak.
Yes. And they can't be outside of the train for even
because it's
a minute,
so cold.
Because the extreme cold, they would freeze.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it's like high speed but enclosed, which is kind of more terrifying than anything else.
Yeah,
because it's if you have, if you have problems with small spaces. Imagine that's where you live forever, and you're going really, really fast.
No, and I do have problems with closed spaces. I'm just gonna lay down in the snow for a minute here.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Just get a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
So even at the front of the train, that's still
that concept. Sure, you can't escape that.
Can't get out of there. Cool. I would recommend it. And I would even say, if you haven't seen the movie, it's worth seeing both.
Yeah.
Because it's just very different approaches to telling the same story.
I think that's cool,
Yeah. And I think that's all I have to talk about.
Fun.
Yeah, so that was kind
Giving
of a
me
quick
some
one.
good recommendations.
Yeah. And we will be wrapping up our escape rooms, and we're starting
Couple
more
of
events.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
got some
so
fun things on the horizon.
exactly. In April, we're going to have a how-to festival again, which we've had in previous years, many years actually. I want to say we're on our 8th, I think,
Yeah.
annual, even though we skipped one.
Yeah.
And that's going to be at the library. It'll be outside. And then we're going to have an Earth Day celebration in April as well. And we're already planning for all of our summer fun, so stay tuned.
Yeah. Buckle up, guys.
Yeah. And we'll talk to you here in a week or so.
Sounds like a plan.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Afraid you missed one of our scintillating selections? Check out wakelet.com and you'll find a collection of all of the titles that we have mentioned on our podcast.